Strategic alliances and shifting loyalties emerged as a decisive force in the rapid rise of the early Ottoman state, reshaping the balance of power across northwestern Anatolia. In the wake of continuous warfare, political instability, and the collapse of older frontier arrangements, large numbers of displaced Turkic soldiers began gravitating toward the banner of Osman V. Their arrival not only strengthened his army numerically, but also transformed it into a formidable and feared force, unsettling local administrators of the Byzantine Empire and accelerating the erosion of imperial authority in the region. These Turkic warriors were not newcomers to war. Many had previously served under other frontier lords or fought as mercenaries in regional conflicts, only to find themselves displaced by defeat, broken alliances, or dwindling resources. As older power structures weakened, loyalty became fluid, shaped less by tradition and more by opportunity. Osman's leadership, reputation for success, and promise of land and spoils offered exactly the kind of future these soldiers sought. Joining his ranks was both a practical choice and a statement of confidence in a rising power. Reports from the period describe a steady flow of armed men arriving at Ottoman encampments, bringing with them not only weapons and experience, but also intelligence about roads, fortresses, and Byzantine administrative practices. This influx enhanced Osman's ability to conduct coordinated campaigns and extended the reach of his influence far beyond his original base. Each new group of warriors strengthened the perception that momentum was on his side, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of recruitment and expansion. The growing diversity within Osman's forces also had strategic advantages. Veterans from different regions contributed varied fighting styles and tactical knowledge, allowing Ottoman commanders to adapt quickly to changing conditions. Cavalry units became more flexible, infantry formations more disciplined, and siege operations more effective. The army evolved from a loose collection of fighters into a more cohesive force capable of sustained operations, a development that alarmed Byzantine officials observing events from nearby towns and forts. Fear spread not only among military commanders, but also among civilian administrators. Byzantine governors and tax collectors, already operating under strained conditions, found their authority increasingly challenged. News that former mercenaries and rival Turkic fighters were now aligned with Osman undermined confidence in imperial protection. Tax collection became hazardous, with officials hesitant to travel outside fortified centers. In some districts, revenues declined sharply as villagers withheld payments or redirected their loyalty to Ottoman representatives who promised security in return. The psychological impact of these shifting allegiances was as important as their military value. Every defection signaled that the Byzantine state was losing its grip on the frontier. Local populations, attentive to signs of strength and weakness, adjusted accordingly. Communities that once relied on imperial garrisons for protection began negotiating with Ottoman commanders, while others offered supplies or intelligence to secure favorable treatment. Loyalty, once assumed, became conditional and negotiable. Osman skillfully leveraged this environment. Rather than treating new arrivals as expendable fighters, he integrated them into his command structure, rewarding loyalty and competence. Successful warriors were granted land or shares of revenue, tying their fortunes directly to the success of the Ottoman cause. This policy fostered a sense of shared destiny and encouraged discipline, reducing internal rivalries that had plagued earlier frontier groups. Byzantine authorities attempted to counter these developments through diplomacy and selective force, but results were limited. Efforts to rehire mercenaries or bribe tribal leaders often failed, as Ottoman success made such offers less attractive. In some cases, attempts to punish suspected collaborators backfired, driving more communities into Osman's orbit. The perception that the empire could no longer guarantee stability proved difficult to reverse. The spread of fear among tax collectors had tangible consequences. As fiscal networks broke down, the empire's ability to fund defenses weakened further. Garrison pay fell into arrears, supplies dwindled, and morale suffered. Meanwhile, Ottoman forces, bolstered by new recruits, were increasingly self-sustaining, drawing resources from newly aligned territories. This imbalance widened with each passing season. Observers noted that these alliances were not purely opportunistic. Many Turkic soldiers shared cultural and social ties with Osman's core followers, reinforcing bonds of trust. Common traditions, language, and codes of honor eased integration and strengthened cohesion. At the same time, pragmatic leadership ensured that discipline was maintained, preventing the army from fragmenting into competing bands. As Osman's army grew, so did its reputation. Stories of relentless warriors and expanding ranks circulated across the frontier, often exaggerated but effective. For Byzantine officials, the distinction between rumor and reality mattered little. Perception shaped decisions. Some withdrew from exposed posts, others sought accommodations, and a few attempted desperate countermeasures that failed to stem the tide. In this climate, strategic alliances became a cornerstone of Ottoman expansion. Military victories opened doors, but loyalty shifts kept them open. Each displaced soldier who joined Osman not only added strength but also weakened the opposing side, draining it of manpower, experience, and confidence. The frontier transformed into a zone of constant realignment, where the Ottoman banner increasingly symbolized order and opportunity. By the time Byzantine leaders fully grasped the scale of the change, the foundations had already shifted. What appeared at first as scattered defections had become a broad movement, binding soldiers, communities, and local elites to a rising power. Strategic alliances and loyalty were no longer secondary factors. They were central drivers of transformation. In retrospect, the gathering of displaced Turkic soldiers under Osman's leadership marked a decisive moment. It demonstrated that the emergence of the Ottoman state was not solely the result of conquest, but also of attraction. By offering security, reward, and a shared future, Osman converted uncertainty into strength. The fear this inspired among Byzantine governors and tax collectors was a measure of success, signaling that authority on the frontier was changing hands. Through alliances forged in opportunity and loyalty sustained by leadership, the Ottomans laid the groundwork for a state that would soon dominate the region and reshape the course of history.